As a person who covers a lot of things in technology, it's important for me to recognize when I'm wrong and I make mistakes. I found myself in this position a bit more recently because of the craziness in the AI world. OpenAI has become incredibly capable of proving me wrong about things. I talked earlier about how we'd kind of hit a wall with the capabilities of AI models, and we blew through it really fast with O1 and eventually O3 and O3 Mini. I also just recently made a video about how we're racing to the bottom. The price for AI, generation, models, inference, and all of this has been going down. I made a business kind of betting on this, where I made a cheaper AI app focused on really good, fast experiences with a lot of models. And once again, OpenAI has proven me wrong. O1 Pro's API just went live, and it's $150 per million input tokens and 600 out. That is hundreds, if not thousands of times more expensive than other options. And I have a whole lot to say about it. But if I'm going to even consider trying this for content, someone has to pay the bill, and I'm not going to make you guys do it. So we'll have a quick word from today's sponsor before we dive in to why this model is so expensive. Deploying servers is super easy and fun until it's not. What happens when you want to have pull requests automatically create preview builds, or you want to put a CDN in front for your static assets, or you want to put a DDoS wall in front of everything because you're getting spammed or getting way too many users? Even tasks like adding a database are harder than they should be, unless you're using today's sponsor, Sevalla. These guys made it so easy to deploy that even I can spin up a Rails app with them. And I am really bad at Rails. It's honestly pretty easy to pitch these guys because, look, you can see everything the product is doing, and it's not fun to set it up yourself. But if you use them, it is. I have a GitHub repo automatically linked. Whenever I push something to main, it gets deployed instantaneously. And we have infra provisioned here across different providers, which if you've ever to do multi-provider provisioning, not fun. We have a real server running with a real CPU and RAM sitting there with the domain assigned to it. We also have Cloudflare in front with DDoS protection. If I wanted to spin up the CDN to store some assets, I can do that all too. Just click settings. No need to set up Cloudflare yourself. It's all just built in. Where this gets way cooler is when you realize this is part of a pipeline. So I have automatic preview builds whenever a pull request is filed, and I can hit one button to create a preview app from it here or set it up to happen automatically. I can also change which deployment is pointing where, the same way you can on serverless providers, but without the serverless part. This works with any tech stack. Dedicated servers included, which is so nice. They also handle the other persistent things that you might need, like object storage, databases, and more. And it's not like they're particularly expensive either. I have this real server running, and we've so far cost ourselves 92 cents in the current billing period. If you want to see how good it is for yourself, you get $50 of credit for free if you sign up now. Check them out today at soydev.link/Sevalla. I've been maintaining this CSV, just logging the different prices of things for these different models to give context. Also, if you don't yet know what a token is, it is the pieces, like the chunks, that are used to process data in AI models. So when you stream down a message from OpenAI, one of these APIs, any of these things, your message gets split up into these chunks, these 4 to 8 character tokens. And those tokens are used to determine what the most likely next token is. For the most part, the easiest way to understand how LLMs work is that they're effectively really, really good autocomplete, where based on the text before, it is going through the weights of what tokens lead to the next tokens most effectively and predicting based on the thing you just sent it, what the most likely next word is over and over again until an answer comes out the end. So tokens are how we measure the cost for a lot of these models, because more tokens means more work being done on the GPU, means more work to go through this giant model of data and matching things up to generate the right response. Problem here is certain models are much, much cheaper than others. I've already done a few videos about Claude here and how it almost bankrupted us when we added it to T3 Chat. 3.5 and 3.7 cost the same. 3.7 thinking is the same pricing, but it does generate more tokens because when the model reasons, which means it's thinking and generating more before sending you the response, those extra tokens get created and do cost money to generate on the infra side. So you are paying for way more output tokens when you turn on the thinking and reasoning for the models that support it. You might not get all those tokens. In the case of something like O1 or O3, OpenAI doesn't show you the thinking tokens. They just show you the result. But they do exist and you are billed on them. So as reasoning becomes more and more common, the cost on the left gets larger. Even if the number isn't bigger, the number of tokens is. Thankfully, we've been racing down this chart for a while now. Drops like Gemini 2.0 Flash shook the very ground we stand on because the quality of the model is comparable to something like 4.0, which is significantly more expensive, more than 20x the price, which is kind of insane because the quality of the responses is very similar between those two. And Gemini's also way faster, which is super nice. The reason Google could get Gemini so cheap is they're a very profitable company doing a lot of things, which helps. But they also built their own processors and architecture in order to make it more efficient for them to run, which puts them in a really good position because they have the data they need to train, the scientists they need to do that training, the API and infra side that they need to host it all, and the chip design and architecture to do it efficiently. There's no other company that has all of that covered, and Google is able to drive the price really low. But at the same time, outside forces like DeepSeek could come in. When V3 dropped, which isn't their reasoning model, it's not R1, the one that blew everything up, but it was the one that got me excited. When V3 dropped, its original pricing was very close to Gemini's pricing, but it was also 6 months-ish earlier. And the quality of this model was comparable to Claude 3.5 for a lot of code stuff, and I was having a ton of fun with it. I largely built T3 Chat because DeepSeek V3 was so fun, and I hated the UI for it even more than the UI I already hated between Claude and ChatGPT. That said, they planned on increasing the price. They kept it here when they dropped it because that was the V2 price, but they bumped it up quite a bit, roughly 2xing input costs and roughly 3xing output costs. Closer to 4x, actually, damn. But at the same time, they then dropped R1, which was an incredibly powerful model. One of the first open models that did reasoning well and hit crazy numbers on benchmarks and was relatively cheap to run too. All of this resulted in a very obvious trend of these models getting cheaper and cheaper. I even went as far as saying that Claude needs to ship a cheaper solution soon or they're going to get chewed out. And I was very wrong on that. 3.7 is just as expensive. They are getting chewed out though, just not for the cost, more for the fact that 3.7 tries to do more than it should. It ends up, as a result, making worse answers for code stuff and also generating more output tokens than it probably should. The number of tokens being generated when I bumped from 3.5 to 3.7 went up a ton, and the quality of the responses, if anything, for me at least, went slightly down. It is what it is. But right after I posted the video, actually, I think it happened the day before the video was posted, but a week after I recorded it, ChatGPT 4.5 dropped. This model is massive. It doesn't have reasoning or any of the other cool features. It doesn't score great on benchmarks for code and stuff like that. It's actually been very hard for them to measure 4.5, but it has significantly more data in its training, and it has significantly more parameters in its model, which means that going from one token to the next is way harder for it because it has to go through way more data to figure out what's next. The claim is that the result is much more human and much more pleasant to talk to because it has way more reference of how humans communicate. And it does feel a decent bit better, I'll be honest. Not 7 to 20x better, but it is better. And people will look at this price and be like, oh yeah, they're charging that because they want to make a whole bunch of money off it. Obviously, the margins there must be nuts. They're not. The margins for a lot of these things being provided, especially by OpenAI, aren't great. When they put O1 Pro on that new $200 month tier for ChatGPT, like the website, they lost money on those. The average Pro subscriber cost them money because they would use O1 Pro so heavily that it would run a shitload of info and cost them a ton. That's why the price is as high as it is here, because O1 Pro is a very expensive model to run. It can solve problems that almost nothing else I've used can solve. They're very difficult, esoteric programming challenges like weird one-offs in Advent of Code, but it's also a shitty model to use for weird ergonomic reasons. I think they might have fixed this bug, but I'll test it. I have an account. We make a new message here. O1 Pro mode. Solve this Advent of Code problem. Use TypeScript. The input lives in input.txt. So I handed it the problem. It's going to take its goddamn time to solve it. Watch what happens. This might not be a bug anymore. First off, it doesn't generate the title yet, which is obnoxious. We generate the title while also generating the rest in parallel. It's stupid that it doesn't. We'll go ask the same thing to 4.0. Go back here. Is there a way I can copy this right now? There isn't. That is hilarious. I have no way to copy the thing I just sent. Other than that, which also selects a bunch of random UI elements. So while that is going, we'll ask 4.0 as well. Both are new chat, which is annoying. No good way of knowing which one is which. And it just took away my sidebar. Very annoying. Oh, it appears it's not that problem anymore. That's good. Previously, if you started another chat while you had O1 Pro going, it would cause the O1 Pro request to fail. We got our little notification. The other one's done. Nice. The answer is wrong. I know that for a fact because no LLMs could solve this problem. Also, what the fuck happened here? Theo, you overreact. ChatGPT's UI isn't that bad. See, that as if I refresh it, though. Oh, it popped in as I was refreshing. That's hilarious, actually. But is this one still going? Something went wrong. Finished reasoning. O1 Pro is a bad experience. The fuck? This is $200 a month. Nada. Nothing. Failure. And now I have to go rerun it and be that much closer to hitting my rate limit there. All for $200 a month. And I have to leave this tab open. By the way, this is even better on mobile. If you ask O1 Pro a question on mobile and you switch apps and go back, 50+% chance the request just failed. It's insane. You have to not refresh if you're on the web. You have to be careful switching tabs if you're on the web. You can't do it on mobile unless you leave it open while it's going. It's such a bad experience. It's actually unbelievable. The query didn't even fail. They just had no way of getting it to the UI. I'll admit, we have this problem too. If you refresh while generation is happening, it fails, and it keeps me up at night. And I am working with a lot of different places, a lot of different companies and products and open source stuff to find a lasting solution to the losing connection mid-generation problem. I'm also not charging $200 a month. Yeah. Grok is the only service that handles the resumability well right now. If you refresh mid-generation, Grok does it well. Nothing else does. Durable objects could theoretically actually be a solution for this if implemented properly, but implementing durable objects properly is a difficult enough task that somebody quit Cloudflare to go do it, and did it. No one understood it still, and Cloudflare just acquired him to try and bring it in there instead. The only people I know actually getting durable objects working are either Cloudflare employees or ex-Cloudflare employees that ended up back at Cloudflare. So it is what it is. Oh, look. It actually answered. Took 2 minutes. I promise you guys this answer doesn't work. If you really want me to go run it, if your input matches the exact example list, you can hard code the length map and solve it by just multiplying these numbers. Even for the example, this is wrong. This is embarrassing. Yeah, O3 Mini High is a much, much better experience, but do you know what else is? T3 chat. If I hop back here, where's the edit button? Isn't there supposed to be an edit button? The fuck? Not rendering because of something? Why do I have no... Not for the first button in chat? You can only edit follow-ups? What? But Theo, T3 chat's just a crappy wrapper. OpenAI's website's totally fine. Why do you think anyone can... I can't use it. It doesn't work. It's so bad. This isn't meant to be a video where I roast the ChatGPT UI, but when I try it to demo something, I still just get angry that it's this level of quality or lack of. I can't even select the text because the scroll bar is in the way. I'm not making this up. I just want to copy this message and paste it on a better service. Maybe this is an attempt at locking me in, but all it's doing is pissing me off. I can't fucking do it. Let's give it a shot here. O3 Mini, already on high. Cool. See how it does. The one thing we don't get is we don't get the reasoning information over the API. So if I did this on the ChatGPT site, I could see what it claims it is doing each step, but it's the exact same model and the end speed is exactly the same on T3 chat as well. I know because I tested it recently, it can't get this problem right, but at least we'll get an answer in a reasonable amount of time, theoretically. And no, I don't have a copy button. I'm here. There is no copy button anywhere. Nothing. Maybe some old ones will have it. Nope. There's an edit button. No copy button, though. Meanwhile, copy. Yeah, O3 Mini's trying really hard to solve this one right now. While we wait, I want to go check out artificial analysis. They still don't have O1 Pro on the site, and it's going to break all the pricing charts, which will be really funny. God, O3 Mini's really putting the effort in on this one. For what it's worth, when it takes a longer time, it's both more likely to answer, but also more likely to hallucinate utter fucking nonsense. I'm not interested in the LG X01 model because the licensing on it is absolute garbage. So I just can't pretend to care. Yeah, it would be really cool if they gave me the reasoning info just so I could show the user something at this point and not have them think the request hung. That'd be great, but they don't give me anything. We'll have to update the UI to let you know, like, don't worry, it's still happening. Just give us a sec. ChatGPT is slow. Yeah. What's funny is when you use O3 Mini on lower thinking tiers with problems that aren't this terrible, it does really, really well. So like solve advent of code 2021 day 4 in Rust. Also, see my name, the title came in immediately. We don't have to wait for the generation to finish. Why does everyone else get that wrong? I don't get it. Here, like it came up with an answer really quick, and I would be very surprised if that didn't work. O3 Mini is a phenomenal model. It's quickly become like my actual favorite and the one I use for most things. And we'll get to the pricing of it in just a moment. Great. It might have hung. Yeah, happens. Trying to make a point here, guys. Well, thankfully, at the very least, I can copy the message and go throw it in to the ChatGPT site. Switch to O3 Mini High. Paste. Send. What is that animation? I hate that. I'm not crazy, right? That is the most cringe shit you've ever seen, right? And it restarts whenever the text changes too. And people say my UI is gaudy. What the fuck? What the fuck's the formatting? Maybe this is why they don't give us the thinking data, because it's all formatted wrong and duh. Somebody asked if we had thinking in T3 chat, how would we render it? I'll show you by switching to a model that shows the thinking. That's I don't know. R1 on Quen? Sure. Here you go. You can unfold it and see each step of the thinking as it's all generated. If you don't want to, you can just keep it closed. We don't come up with bullshit summaries of each step during the thinking. We just give you the thinking. It'd be nice if we had some better UI summarizing it. I like the way that Grok does it with the scrolling thing. You can see us doing that in the future, but for now, it's just under a fold. Nope. O3 Mini High is still chugging along. Did it finish on here yet? Nope. Still chugging along on OpenAI's site as well. I don't want to think about how expensive that's going to be with the output tokens that it's generating. So I'm going to choose not to. And instead, we're going to talk about the cost of these different models. So this is a chart that used to be much more useful before GPT 4.5 dropped. Because previously, you would actually see a gap between these options. 4.5 and O1 are both so expensive that they fuck up the chart. A thing I used to do a lot was going to this chart, which, by the way, it doesn't even have 4.5 on for it. Oh, it is. It just don't have intelligence versus price for it. That's fun. But if I turn off O1, watch what happens to this chart. Suddenly, it is much more readable and useful. And you can see that O3 Mini is actually quite a value here. Going back to my CSV, O3 Mini is exactly double the price of DeepSeek R1. That was clearly by design. They clearly saw that R1 was going to screw them over and went out of their way to make O3 Mini as cheap as possible. And they did. They succeeded. This is an insane price for the quality of model you get. I cannot imagine using 4.0 for anything unless you need that first token immediately because you're like a phone system. And even then, I don't know if I would use 4.0 for it. The only benefit of 4.0 is that there's no thinking, which means you start getting a real answer immediately. O3 Mini is a so much better model, so much better value, so much better speeds overall. Like time to answer is faster on O3 Mini. It's a really, really good model. But when you use O3 Mini High, the cost isn't necessarily represented just by this number, because when you use it on high, it's generating way more tokens, because that's what the low, medium, high is. It's how much time can it spend and how many tokens can it generate in the step before it starts answering. So it's almost like the ratio between the answer to the reasoning thinking stage. Both cost just as much money per token, but the reasoning steps aren't useful to you. They're only useful to the AI, which means that even if you got the same length of answer from O3 Mini and 4.0, O3 Mini will have more tokens used because it had to reason and generate more tokens before the actual answer came out. So low, medium, high, the difference isn't it costs more based on the output length. It costs more based on the time spent generating the things that then are used to generate the correct output. And people are still asking, is a token just a word? I'll show you what a token is. See how brutal that is for the input tokens there? The plus is a different token. The dashes are. Next plus is. The way tokens are split with data and code is always very interesting. Also, yet another high quality UI from our friends over at ChatGPT here. Love that for us. Did we finally get an answer? We did. We got an answer. It finished. It just took forever. And if you didn't notice, let's compare just the length of this answer to the answer that we got from ChatGPT. Where's the tab? This is the O3 Mini High. So this is the equivalent. It's still generating. But if we go to the O1 Pro. Also, what the hell happened there? I switched to this one. It changed to O3 Mini for a sec, then to O1 Pro. How does anyone say this UI is fine? The first answer they gave us here, this is like 20 lines of code, and there is literally a 0% chance this works. Like, I know this problem. The answer is like 500 lines of code, not 20. At the very least, O3 Mini, the model that is an order of magnitude plus cheaper, was able to generate something a hell of a lot closer to the right answer first try. That's a massive gap. I have personally had a better experience with O3 Mini than I have with O1 Pro. And not just the ergonomics, because O1 Pro has all the weird quirks where it just fails randomly. You can't have it running in the background. It's super expensive. O3 Mini is actually just giving you better answers too, which is kind of unbelievable. But it's the reality I live in. It's an expensive one, but it is the reality I live in. And the price gap here is just unfathomable. It's 136 times more expensive for input tokens. This isn't comparing an open source model or a bad model. This is comparing the best model right now, which is O3 Mini High. 150 divided by 1.1, 136. And if we compare the output numbers here, 600 divided by 440, still almost exactly 136 times more expensive. How? How the fuck does this exist now? Like, this model isn't new. What's the point of even releasing this? It almost, like, it's silly, but it feels like it's a response to my video that we're racing to the bottom to just put something like this out. Their margins aren't great. They're not going to make much money on this. It feels like it's a parody thing where they don't want to have any models that aren't released externally, that aren't available via API. But this model came far too late, and it's far not good enough for this. It's weird, and I don't get it, because I've had so much better experience with O3 Mini High. So yeah, for those asking, when are you going to add O1 Pro to T3 chat? Maybe we'll add it with the bring your own key thing like we did for 4.5 if there's demand for it. But I think we've had like 30 messages generated total on 4.5 since we added it with the bring your own key. Nobody actually wants this. Nobody actually cares. It's 10x more expensive than O1, which is, in both O1 and O1 Pro, are worse than O3 Mini. And O3 Mini is way faster, way cheaper, way better. If you compare to other reasoning models like R1, which is even cheaper, you end up realizing that O1 Pro is roughly 200 times more expensive than it should be. I don't know how we got here, but I am thankful that despite OpenAI's insistence on breaking new ground in pricing, the rest of the industry is focused on lowering the price. The same week that O1 Pro's API came out, Bistro 3.1 came out, just barely undercutting Gemini 2.0 Flash at a similar quality of model. The focus on better value for our models is great, and I'm very excited for a future where the best options are also some of the best priced options. O3 Mini seemed like a step in that direction, which is part of why I was so excited, but it seems like it was a side quest, not a direction change. Either that, or the things that ChatGPT and OpenAI were working on already were too far along for them to change the direction of. But there's no way they put these numbers out and they put these products out because they think they're going to make a lot of money off it. They've been it's very obvious they won't. I think they were just scared of not shipping the things they'd spent years on doing. And there is a future where these tools are foundational for other things they want to build. Like 4.5 will be the core of what powers O4, O5, O6, O whatever. Okay, somebody in chat's really confused about O3 Mini High. I'm going to clarify this one last time before we wrap up. The way the different O3 Mini tiers work isn't that there are different models that are O3 Mini versus O3 Mini High. All the low, medium, high distinction means is you are choosing how much token generation and how much time the model's allowed to spend on the things that happen before the answer comes out. If you look at something like when I just ran this with DeepSeek, the answer got truncated because it was too long, but the content that comes before the answer, that's the reasoning. And when you say high, what you're saying is, okay, I give you permission to spend more time and generate more stuff on this. It will cost you more money, but it will generate more stuff. And it will be more likely to get a good answer. All the high button does, and all O3 Mini High is a level of effort you're allowing the model to spend on that. So yes, we will support O3 Mini High because we've always supported O3 Mini High. It is a toggle here, but since ChatGPT was too lazy to update their UI accordingly, there's no way to choose how much reasoning the model can do, so they had to put in O3 Mini High as a different model. And honestly, at this point, I'm considering doing the same thing on our end to get users to shut up about it. And also, to be frank, because O3 Mini High usage is expensive enough, because people are just asking it questions that generate endless tokens and they use it when they shouldn't, we might have to move O3 Mini High to the premium model tier that Claude is on right now. So yeah, We might do the wrong thing that OpenAI is doing, because this is not how the model actually works, but they present it this way because people are stupid. And I'm increasingly realizing that at the very least OpenAI is right about that. I just can't actually fathom the fact that they put out a model that is worse than their best models twice now. They have 2 times in a row put out a model that is worse than O3 Mini High after O3 Mini while being more expensive. It's just, it's so confusing to me that O3 Mini High and O3 Mini in general can drop and be this groundbreaking, and the next 2 things they ship are more expensive and worse. If it was more expensive or worse, that'd be one thing. More expensive and worse makes me feel like I'm going mad. I think that's all I have on this one. I am confused about this drop. I'm pretty sure it's just a feature parity thing, but when you look at the cutoff date, you realize this should have probably shipped a while ago. This model's over a year old. I don't know what's going on. Let me know what you guys think. Until next time, keep prompting.